Welcome back to the Football Terrace. Hit the like button and make sure you are subscribing. Get those bell notifications turned on as well. Conspiracy theories. We are jumping into conspiracy theories today because I've seen one of the craziest things ever from Manchester City fans. We're going to be taking a look at Arsenal as some gooners are going Arteta out, and there's been some outrageous lies, or at the very least, misrepresentations of the facts about them. And it's probably the perfect time for the media to do it because their fans are very frustrated at their performances. But before we get onto that, we're going to start with Liverpool, because I saw this from Gary Neville and it bothered me. It really, really bothered me. We're going to get into why, but let's just take a little listen to what he's got to say here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of us see Chelsea as title winners, or even Liverpool for that matter, but what you have got this moment in time is a very intriguing game where I think that...
Firstly, why are they not using a windshield? Sky, and they're not using a windshield on their mics that's good enough to stop that goddamn wind. It's crazy.
They're ahead of Chelsea, we all know that, but we want to know the distance that they're ahead of them. And I think Chelsea, I remember first game of the season watching them against City and thinking there's something about that I like. I had to put them in my top four on Monday Night Football night after I've seen them. But today, I think the way in which Maresca wants to play football, his style of play, this is the ultimate test. I think this is the most difficult away ground in the country to come and play football, particularly when it's a ferocious atmosphere, which I suspect it will be in that first half an hour. So I'm interested to see how, particularly that Chelsea midfield, do with Caicedo, Fernandes, Cole Palmer drifting in there. Can they get on the ball and play? Liverpool's midfield's a good midfield, and they're willing defenders, but are they great defenders? We'll find out today.
Now, you may have missed the beginning part, and we're going to go back to that, but we know Liverpool have got very good defenders. We know they're very sound defensively in this new slot setup. But let's go back to the beginning of what he said. Okay, let's go back to right to the start and listen to what he said.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of us see Chelsea as title winners. Or
I agree with that. None of us see Chelsea yet as title winners. I think that's fair.
Or even Liverpool for that matter, but what you have...
When he says, but even Liverpool for that matter, it then goes on to say that it's one of the hardest away grounds, or the hardest away ground in England to go to. So if you're the hardest place to go and play football in the country, that in itself tells me you've got half a chance of at least being in a title race. The problem is with the way, I think this is very disrespectful to Liverpool. I think this is a very premature thing to say. This idea that nobody considers Liverpool capable of winning the league, I think's crazy. Especially now, on the 23rd of October 2024. In the summer, I said they'd be in a title race. I didn't think they'd done enough in the window to win the league. However, that's because we saw from their season where they almost won the quad a couple of years ago, until Jurgen Klopp left, there was some inconsistencies. Some players maybe looked past their best. There was, they were easy to get at defensively. And I, like many people, and I can hold my hands up here, thought some of these players are over the hill. Some of these midfielders are just not good enough for Liverpool. But what we now know, and hindsight is an extremely lucrative commodity, is that Klopp was running out of energy, his own admission. Still a world-class manager, but running out of energy. A new head coach has come in, revitalised these players, adapted the system, and got them looking close to picture perfect. They attack well, they score goals. Defensively, they're an absolute powerhouse 9 times out of 10. The facts don't lie. The eye test don't lie. They come together completely. Very David Brent-esque, right? Very David Brent-esque on this. And I think it's really premature of Gary Neville right now in October to say, or wrong in fact of him to say, no one considers Liverpool capable of winning this league title. I don't think that's true. I think a lot of Liverpool fans think they might be able to do it. I certainly believe they've got a chance. I think if you're in the title race, you have a chance of winning it. City are still today my favourites. But I think it is ridiculous to claim that there's no chance Liverpool can win it. I understand the disdain that this man, Gary Neville, a legend of my football club, Man United, has for Liverpool. I get why we want to write them off, but I'm keeping my energy the same. I don't want to see that tribalism from pundits and professionals. And maybe he just truly believes it. Maybe it is in his heart of hearts, in his belief. But I believe that's down to and due to this kind of weird way we still think about football, about the head coach, about the manager. Now, they're an important cog in the wheel at a football club. But I think your sporting directors, footballing directors, the board, how you operate day to day, that is the new Fergie. That is the new Paisley, the new Clough. As long as you've got a very good to world-class head coach, if you are run well and you have money to spend and you have world-class players, as Liverpool do, I think you're always going to be there or thereabouts. This idea that when Pep leaves, it's going to be a rebuild for the new manager, no. As long as they don't bring in an awful head coach, they're going to maintain a large part of their levels. There isn't going to be a drop-off. So now that we know, and I think over 10 games into the season across all comps, we know that the problems last year was more about Klopp. And again, I'm not slagging Klopp off. I'm just saying that he was tired, he had no energy, maybe the motivation was gone. We can see how good this Liverpool side is. If they started this season in this way under Jurgen Klopp, nobody would be saying, I can't see them winning it. I see no world of where that's possible. I think that's wrong for me. I think that's poor punditry, but it's also poor education for the fans. We have to stop just focusing on who the manager is at a club and who the players are per se. We have to look at how they operate, the project at large, and how they conduct themselves day to day. And FSG, there's definitely areas to criticise, but overall they have run that club very well for the past decade or so. Look, give me your thoughts, give me your feelings, give me your opinions on that. On to Arsenal. Look, I want to speak about something here. This touches into the Liverpool story as well. I saw this from the media. And it said that data shows that Arsenal enjoy lenient refereeing decisions as Man City are treated the most harshly. And in this article in the Standard, it says that Arsenal enjoy more lenient refereeing decisions compared to all Big Six sides, whilst Manchester City are punished more harshly. That is according to Opta data gathered by TalkSport Bet, who report that across the first 8 game weeks of the Premier League season, the Gunners have averaged 5.39 fouls for every yellow card that they have received. And I saw this doing the rounds. I saw people taking it as the gospel truth. Oh my God, this is amazing. There is no agenda against Arsenal. Look how harsher Man United, Chelsea, City are treated in comparison. Now, let me just say before I go any further, disclaimer time, ding, 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 that I think when you look at any of this data, the data I'm about to put up on the screen, there is so much context to it. It's a crazy article to even write. I wouldn't have even looked into this information. I wouldn't have had my team here look into this data, put this graph together. I never would have thought about it because I think you have to judge fouls in isolation, red cards in isolation, yellow cards in isolation. And equally, you've got to look at a much bigger sample size than 8 games. Now, this demonstrates and shows since the season of 2019-20 until now, okay, it shows the amount of fouls conceded by each team in the Premier League, how many yellow cards, how many red cards, and then how many fouls per yellow card and red card have been issued. And you can actually see it's Man City in this data actually do get more, them and Arsenal very close in the amount of fouls they commit versus yellow cards that they get. It just shows that Arsenal commit more fouls. Now, you could argue, depends on your disposition, that makes Arsenal a dirtier team. You could argue that, well, actually, maybe City just don't get punished for fouls that they commit. Maybe they get away with fouls that they shouldn't do. And that's the problem with all this type of data. It shouldn't be taken that seriously. And I've only put it together to highlight that. This shows on here, actually, that, Man United, for instance, commit more fouls than Arsenal and Man City. But we get yellow carded at the worst rate in the league. However, we get red carded the best in the league out of the top teams that you can see here. I mean, what does that tell us? Well, what it tells me is that we have to see the context of those fouls. So we commit more fouls before we get yellowed than any other team. Sorry, we commit less fouls before we get yellowed than any other team. But we get less reds per fouls, which could mean that we're a little bit stupid when it comes to getting bookings, but we're really quite disciplined when our players are on yellow cards. It could mean that we commit loads of fouls, more fouls that are yellow card worthy, but we commit far less offences that are red card worthy. I just saw this article from the Standard and thought to myself, what are you trying to do here? Is this a chance? Arsenal are in bad form at the minute. They're being butchered in the media. They're being criticised, which I think's right. But this was from a bona fide, gigantic media network to publish that article and make a claim that one team is being treated more leniently than another based on 8 games of data, not factoring in red cards, and not looking at a wider breadth of time is crazy. Because I think when you actually look at it, it is all much of a muchness, which is why I don't necessarily believe in conspiracy theories. But conspiracy theories in themselves are a theme today, because I saw this from Manchester City fans. That they had this made. They've had like a truck put together with a thing on the back that says Richards Masters. Obviously, Richard Masters runs the Premier League. And they've got the Red Cartel and Spurs there. So it's gone away from being the Red Cartel now, and it's the cheating cartel clubs. A message to the Premier League, get it sorted. And I do love this, by the way. When it comes to Arsenal, and people's disdain and hatred for either the club or their fans online, or their hatred of the manager that they desperately want out and there can't be any excuses created for him. If they dare suggest for a single moment that there is a conspiracy against them, they're called crazy. Now, let me just add my disclaimer. I don't believe in the conspiracies, and I'll tell you why in a moment, just because logic dictates. But they're told they're crazy. But so many people that say Arsenal are crazy for saying there's a refereeing conspiracy. City fans fall into that category. Arteta outers fall into that category as examples. Those Arteta outers, those Arsenal haters, the people that call, a lot of City fans that call Arsenal ridiculous for suggesting it, they believe there's a red cartel. They believe in that conspiracy. And remember, conspiracy just means a plot. Essentially, right? You're plotting for the demise or the downfall of a person, an entity, a team, a business, a government, whatever it may be. That's all a conspiracy is. But the problem is, if you believe in one, logic dictates that you have to be, at the very least, open to the idea that others exist. Believing in one conspiracy theory opens the door to believing in others because simply based on the way you want to interpret evidence, the way you want to talk about authority, the hidden mechanisms behind the scenes that you believe in for one conspiracy. If you believe that cloak and dagger exists, to ignore it when other people claim it in other sectors or about their club is ridiculous. You're almost disproving your whole logic. You're disproving your entire logic. And we do that a lot in the YouTube industry. People will... I see it if we go to the traditional YouTube space. I remember when the KSIs and the Logan Pauls and the Wellers were all like at each other's throats. And I remember watching it as an outsider thinking, you're all just accusing each other of the things that you are all accused of doing and being. And I just looked at it maybe a little bit older than they were at the time and just thought, you're not sort of killing your industry because they've all done phenomenally well since. But I looked at it and saying, but you're just making it easier for people to make these accusations at you. And that's how I feel about this conspiracy theory area. People say Arsenal fans nonsense. There's no conspiracy. I believe this one's true. I don't believe there's a red cartel conspiracy, but I believe there's one against Arsenal when it comes to referees. Terry, I don't believe there's a conspiracy against Arsenal for referees, and I definitely don't believe there's a red cartel, but I believe there's a media conspiracy against Man United to write horrible things about us. If you believe in one, based on what a conspiracy is, okay, your mistrust of the official narrative, the patterns of recognition bias that appear, the belief, as I say, in hidden mechanisms and structures, the rejection of conventional evidence, that's what I'm saying. All of these things you believe in when it comes to your conspiracy that you think's real, but you disregard everybody else's about theirs, which tells me I don't think any of you believe in it. I don't believe, listen, I'm not saying there aren't bad referees. I'm not saying that some Premier League clubs don't like the way City operate or the way this club operates or they don't want this rule to come in. But I don't think it is as conspiratorial, as sinister, as dark as everybody makes out. But remember, if you believe in one, logic dictates that you have to be open to the idea of the others. You can't reject them without at least a discussion. And I just don't know if the discussions are worth happening. By the way, you might all think I'm wrong. And if you do, let me know. Before I end, though, I did see this, and I want to get everybody's thoughts on this. Arteta out trending again. And I did love this tweet from 7A Huel. I don't know, his name might be Raul with that name. He said, Arteta out, bros. We might be back. And I burst out laughing. The meme was brilliant as well from Batman. I think he said Dark Knight Rises. Love that movie. This made me die with laughter. And then I started looking for it. Okay, red car theory here. Loads of people last night becoming Arteta out, Arteta out, Arteta out. I went back through their timelines because I like to do the research. 3 weeks ago, they were saying they're winning the league. As I said last night, if you've never believed in Arteta, you don't like the squad, you don't like Edu, you never thought you were going to win the league, you didn't think you were going to win any trophies this year, I completely get. Now is your time to shine. Now is your time to do your spaces on Twitter or X, go on TikTok, go on YouTube and say, I was right. I told you all this would happen. I get it. Fair play. Go do your thing. No issues from me. None. The people I'm focusing on are the ones that supposedly believed in this 3 weeks ago. And now they're like, this is done. Do you know what it is? There's two things, I think. There's the fear of being wrong. And, oh, my God, I could be wrong. I'm going to get cooked. Do I just say I'm Arteta out now? Because that's like a comfort blanket. There's that. There's the other side, which is clout chasing. So, again, if you're already Arteta out, I'm not talking about you. Please don't cry. Do I go now? There's a chance the season could unravel. Do I go now or do I wait? Some people are calculated in that way. I want to get some new followers. I want a bit of clout on X. I want to grow my TikTok. I definitely think those people exist. Do I go now? Do I go early? Or there is a third option, I suppose, that they just have realised they were wrong or they believe they're wrong about Arteta. What do you think it is? This is a democracy, so leave your comments below. Until next time, my people, take care, goodbye, God bless, and I'll see you all again soon. Peace!